Dana Abercrombie, The Coalition. Thank you so much for speaking to me. This documentary is important and is a must see, no matter the age or party or anything at all. Can you please talk about what was it that was like this? What happened with Stacey Abrams and what's going on with the election? This needs to be made into a documentary for all public consumption.
Well, Stacey Abrams started this process. She's the producer on our documentary, and she came into our office and said, I don't want a movie about me, Stacey Abrams, because then it becomes about a particular candidate or a political party. It's not about that. It's about American democracy. It's about communities having a voice and therefore being represented. So their needs, from things as basic as clean water to healthcare, are represented, are part of the national conversation. Because once communities are out of the franchise, then politicians don't have to pay attention to their needs. So we really have a crisis in our country when communities are disenfranchised. So Stacey started it. I had actually been thinking for a long time about how do we make this film about the history of the franchise. I needed that hook, and she walked in the door to us when we met with Stacey Abrams.
Now, also, I was wondering. Oh, sorry. Now also wondering about this. When you was putting the documentary together, did you already have the whatever it is that you knew the path that you wanted to take, or did things change as we went and saw what was going on in real life events?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dana. I mean, we had a historical framework, starting with the inception of this country and moving to certain important moments, the 15th Amendment, then the promise of Reconstruction, the retrenchment afterwards, the Civil Rights Act in 1965, and then in 2013, post-Obama's election, the gutting of the Civil Rights Act. The Voting Rights Act. So there were to the contemporary manifestations of voter suppression. But I think, the film, we worked on this as long as we could to make it of this moment and in conversation with what is happening now about what it means to vote during a pandemic and how citizens are responding in the wake of the killings of Black men, of George Floyd, of Breonna Taylor. They're all part of a conversation of protests and participation that is unique to being American, and that we all should find a way to exercise our voice, and the vote is the way that we all can do that.
And lastly, for both of you, what do you want people to take the most? Because it just seems like history is repeating itself, and we keep fighting, and we have to keep fighting. But what is it that you want people the most that we can do as a society in a whole to keep our rights and to keep voting?
Well, we always say register, vote, and then make certain that your vote is counted. And in doing so, you've got to make a plan, and do your plan with your friends and family. Don't do this alone.
Thank you.
And I would just,
Sorry.
I would just add that, sorry, I just totally lost my train of thought. That if your vote didn't matter, they wouldn't be working so hard to take it away from you. And so many people think, that this election doesn't matter that much or all of this, but it is the first step towards creating a world where your community's voice matters, is counted.
Thank you guys so much for speaking with me.
Thank you.
Thank you.